Jalen Waddle. Preston, the run from Tua Tagovailoa. Picked off by Xavier Howard. Tagovailoa traveling. He's going for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
That hard work. Enjoying hard work.
What's good, Finn Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Rejoice, say your prayers, hallelujah. It looks like Mike McDaniel will be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I mean, that's where all indicators are pointing. And if you are a Patreon, you got my update last night, and my update was this. I was told while I was live with both Lorraine and Tunde that Mike McDaniel would be done and wrapped up and hired as the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins by the end of the weekend. And it's, that was from the same source who relayed to me that the Dolphins are not letting on to the media how much they really like Mike McDaniel some couple weeks ago, I believe it was. So, and that Patreon update's there too. So it looks like all indicators are pointing, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. It looks like everything is pointing towards Mike McDaniel being the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. But of course, they still have to interview Kellen Moore tomorrow. So we'll get all into that. I'm going to break it all down. We'll hop into that. I got a bunch of stuff I want you guys to see in regards to Mike McDaniel. We're also going to talk about DeVante Parker. There were whispers around the Senior Bowl that DeVante Parker is on the trade block and was being shopped. And then we got a little interesting article from Barry Jackson I wanted to go over yesterday. It talks about Nick Needham and Preston Williams and such, and we'll go over that. And if we do have enough time, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to come up here. It all depends on how long it takes me to get through everything here. So we'll play it by ear. But guys, I mean, it's let's get some good news this weekend. It's about time, so I really hope if you haven't had a chance, I do stress, go take the time and go watch the discussion between me, Lorraine, and Tunde yesterday regarding the Flores lawsuit and the potential fallout regarding the Flores lawsuit. I think it is worth a watch for everyone interested in learning a little bit more about what's going on. Both are accredited attorneys. Lorraine O'Neill is based out of Fort Lauderdale. Tunde Ezekiel has his own law firm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So you can check them out. They're both verifiable even through Google. So go check them out. And they're Dolphin fans on top of that. So it was a great show. It was a great time. It was a great conversation. So go take the time out and give it a watch if you haven't yet. All that said, guys, man, chew. Y'all know the Mike McDaniel train has been here for quite some time. If you've been following me since last year when we did our offensive coordinator search, not only does the receipts exist on Twitter, they also exist here on YouTube. You've known that the two coordinators I wanted last year I wanted either Pep Hamilton or, of course, I wanted Mike McDaniel. Now, I saw some people in the comment section talking about Flores wanted Mike McDaniel last year. That's actually incorrect. Chris Greer is actually who wanted Mike McDaniel last year, right? That is who wanted Mike McDaniel. Obviously, the interview was blocked by Kyle Shanahan. And then he was moved up when LaFleur left with Saleh. He was moved up and he was made the offensive coordinator. And, I said this to someone earlier, and I'll say it to all you guys, what people don't realize is we might be picking the brightest apple from the Shanahan tree. A tree that's produced both LaFleur's, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan himself. Because when I say Shanahan tree, I'm talking about this is all, well, I'm talking about Shanahan, Kyle, and Mike. So I'm including Mike in this too. When you look at this right now, I'm telling you right now, and we'll get into it. I know people have seen me use the word savant and people have heard me use the word genius. Well, we're going to get into something today. I'm going to show you something where a former wide receiver actually referred to Mike McDaniel as a savant. So even if you're not going to take Reason's word, take the word of people who have played the game at the highest level and have played with the guy. And, and I got to get this off my chest. When I hear he isn't the leader of men, he didn't call offensive plays, he should just be an OC. Listen, it's okay to admit you haven't watched very much of the 49ers offense this year other than the playoffs, and you haven't followed Mike McDaniel's career, or you've never researched Mike McDaniel. It's okay to admit that. Instead of coming out here with these lazy takes and the comparisons, people comparing him to Adam Gase and Joe Philbin. Are you guys crazy? Tell me when Adam Gase or Joe Philbin reinvented an offense they were a part of multiple times, let alone offenses ran by minds like Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan. What do I mean by that? How do you think he got moved up into a positional coach from an intern under Mike Shanahan? He reinvented Mike Shanahan's offense. Fast forward to Kyle Shanahan this year as an offensive coordinator. He gets more control. He introduces his own inside toss run, and all of a sudden, boom, reinvents the Shanahan run offense. It took him 1 year. Trent Williams had his best year of his career and was arguably the best player in football this year. Trey Lance, whenever he was in there under Mike McDaniel, he looked like the guy that I've been telling you guys about. So, because people forget, I've been talking about Trey Lance for 2 years on these YouTube streets. Okay? I've been talking about Trey Lance since I was actually with TD Finstock. Just like I'd been talking about Penei Sewell well before he got drafted since his freshman year, when people weren't talking about him. Well, at least in this community very much. And Trey Lance looked like the guy. He looked like you would have given Mike McDaniel another year or two with Trey Lance, and we would have been next year's pick would have been 29 probably too. And the only guys I wanted over Mike McDaniel was Harbaugh and Caldwell. That's because if you gun to my head, I preferred experience. But like I said, from day one, if we were going inexperienced, again, the only one out on these streets saying day one, if we go with an inexperienced guy, I want Mike McDaniel. I'm telling you, if anyone's going to turn this culture around, if anyone's going to turn the vibe around, it's going to be this guy. Personality-wise, he's a 180 from Brian Flores. Also, and I can even admit it, I can admit when I'm wrong, Flores, ball game never said any truer words to me that resonated when he said, what has he done other than bring the zero blitz? And I was like, oh, crap, you're right. And I retracted my genius tag of Brian Flores when he told me that. The problem is, like I've said about Brian Flores, Philbin, and Gase, the difference between them and McDaniel is, you don't even have to be a football mind. You can be a casual fan and do a little bit of research, and it'll be easy to see that throughout the league, Mike McDaniel, in terms of intelligence, is revered far more than what those three guys were before we hired them. I mean, Adam Gase, all Peyton Manning did was thank him at the beginning of his retirement speech and said he helped him learn how to prepare better. That's it. He didn't say he made me a better quarterback. So I think Mike McDaniel, man, and think about this. I know the Mike McDaniel hype train has really started up, especially since I put it on the tracks. And, you go on Twitter and you see it too, right? And it's clearly evident that it's just because people did research and caught up to what I already knew last year when I researched the guy, that he's the real deal. And, I think in a sense, not only will it be good PR for the Miami Dolphins, in a sense, they realized they'd also be giving a significant portion of his fan base what they want right now. So it's a little undercover damage control by the Miami Dolphins, but I'll be the first to tell you, this is as good as the damage control can get. I'm telling you, McDaniel can turn this around. But in the same sense, I always think of myself in the back of the head, are we setting up whoever the new head coach is to fail no matter who it is? Like, I've said to myself, like, even if an experienced guy was going to come in here, was he going to fail? And I think that's a legitimate question to ask yourself. Like, I'm going to tell you this right now. If Mike McDaniel can turn this ship around, my God, and I said this to someone a couple of nights ago, doesn't this have a feeling of an eventual 30 for 30? And what I mean by that is, think about like, doesn't this just have the feeling of turning around in terms of, and I'm not trying to sell anyone hope by any means. I'm just telling you what I feel. I just sit back and I reflect on this situation. I'm like, the Dolphins are in the worst state I can remember since I've been a fan of this team, and like I tell everyone, I was born in 85, and my, one of the first pictures of me is my dad holding me and he's in this Merino jersey. So I was born into this. And, Dan Marino and Mario Lemieux were the two athletes I looked up to the most as a kid. And, I don't even think the 1 in 15 year was as bad as this in terms of like the embarrassments, the Watson stuff, like the last 365 days since the Watson rumors first surfaced last year. It's been such a tumultuous ride. It's been such a roller coaster, and it's just gotten progressively worse and worse. And it's like glimmer of hopes keep getting thrown at us. You know what I mean? Like the 7-game win streak, playoff potential, and now the glimmer of hope that Mike McDaniel can turn this around. And I really think this has the makings of, look at how bad that franchise was, but they just hired the right guy. And he just turned it around. He's going to come in. He's going to fix the run game. He's going to come in. He's going to fix the O-line. If anyone's going to get Tua near his ceiling, it's going to be Tua in the Shanahan offense. Like, let's be real for ourselves. If you know Reason, and you've been listening to Reason, as much as people have, and even I've said he's perfect for Sean Payton, the team I've always said is the 49ers and Shanahan. I've always said, imagine this guy in a Shanahan offense. I've always said that. This is the perfect offense to fit his skill set. We're going to find out, not only physically if he's ever going to get back to Tuscaloosa Tua, but with the complex offense that is about to come in here, yet that's perfect for his skill set. If you're going pro style, we about to find out what the deal is real quick with Tua. I'm going to tell you right now. And I have faith that Mike McDaniel is going to build this run game. He's going to build that offensive line. And, he's going to build the depth and the receiver core. And I have faith that this guy's going to do what Flores didn't. McDaniel's going to come in here and he's either going to pass off the defense to the staff already in place. And then if they don't perform well enough in year one, he's going to say, get the fuck out of here. And he'll bring in an experienced guy, or he's going to go bring in an experienced guy off the rip. It's exactly what people need to realize. If this staff is in place, just like Tua, they ain't attached to McDaniel's hip. McDaniel's going to have an out on both of them after 1 year. I'm going to tell you right now. Because we got 2 first-round draft picks next year, and if our defense doesn't perform up to the standards we all expect, he'll be able to sell, hey, you know what? Maybe that defense was properly coached. It was all about Flores overseeing it, so I need to go get an experienced guy to handle that personnel. Because he's not about to overturn that whole defense into like a wide 9 zone-based defense. That's like a 3-year process. McDaniel not about to do that. I'm going to tell you right now, if a guy on YouTube like me, who I know a lot of you think is smart, and I appreciate that, if y'all think I understand that, what do you think he understands? The difference between him and Flores is Flores is too stubborn. So like I said yesterday, does Reason believe 90% of Flores' lawsuit? 110%. I believe a lot of it. But does Reason also think Brian Flores was a jerk behind the scenes? 110%. I've been hearing the stories for over a year. Okay? So both things can be true. All right? Both things can definitely be true. And that's where I'm at with that situation. But I digress. Think of this. Mike McDaniel has been groomed in a collaborative environment. Not enough people are talking about this. I don't think anyone is. This is a reason only point. So if you hear anyone else talking about it, you know where they got it from. Mike McDaniel has been raised in a collaborative environment. When the LaFleurs were there, McVay, when they were all under Shanahan, when Shanahan was an OC, up until Shanahan being a coach, he's used to a collaborative environment. But then when you go to the New England Patriots, it's more of a pyramid environment in terms of, everything is sectioned off to different people, right? People don't interfere, blah, 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 blah. But because he's been coming up in this offense, it's he's just used to a collaborative environment. And that's why the McVays have worked out. That's why LaFleur has worked out. I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I think Tua Tagovailoa can be better than Jared Goff. And look where McVay got with Goff. Look where the Niners got with Garoppolo. Now, do I think Tua Tagovailoa is going to be better than Matt Stafford? I'm not ready to say that. So, and you know what? I think people are going to enjoy coming to work under Mike McDaniel, and that matters. That actually matters, people. Like, that matters. Exactly, Storm Warrior. 49ers coaches have no ego. New England coaches are all ego. All of them are ego. That's a big difference, man. There's no ego on that tree since Kyle Shanahan has taken it over from his father. There's no ego on that tree. And there's nothing but ego on the Belichick tree, because even these positional coaches say, I got 5 rings. Who are you? Well, sorry, you're not Daddy Bill. Okay? Like, I'll give Flores his props because he was actually basically a defensive coordinator in the last year. So I'm talking about like Patricia and such, you know what I mean? So I'll give Flores his props because I know how instrumental he was in that Rams game. I won't take away from him there. But yeah, anyways, guys, it has, in the words of the great Shang Tsung, it has begun. And what do I mean by that? This is what I mean by that. First of all, there's over 500 of you in the room, so smash that like button. Go pound that like button. Go pancake it, baby. Go pancake that like button right now like you're Robert Hunt in the interior, okay? All right? Go do it. Let's start off with the big news tonight. This is what really set it in motion. Guys, Anthony Lynn is being hired as the assistant head coach of the San Francisco 49ers per league sources. Lynn, who had other NFL and college offers, is expected to now be a key cog in the 49ers offense and run game. Lynn's offenses and backfields have produced some of the highest rushing totals in the league over the past decade. He helped Tyrod Taylor field one of the league's top 10 offenses in Buffalo and molded an offense in which Justin Herbert won Rookie of the Year. Hello. If this doesn't tell you Mike McDaniel is coming, I don't know what to say. But I'm sorry. Right now, like I reported on the Patreon yesterday, I was told last night and it came from a really good place, the same place that told me Mike McDaniel was, being undersold by the media because the Dolphins weren't letting on to them how much they really loved him. It's happening. Get ready. Darth Vader, 199. When McDaniel is hired, Studsville and Godsey out. I assume yes. If you want some names that you can start thinking about and putting on your mind, coaching-wise on the offensive side, that might be coming with him, Zach Yenser, who's an O-line coach, John Embry, Keith Carter, Chris Morgan, Wes Welker is a big name right now being tied to Mike McDaniel, and then you got Rick Dennison. So there's a lot of names right now being tied to Mike McDaniel, and Wes Welker is a big one. What a return if Wes Welker comes. What a return. Let's go. Let's go, baby. So I'm telling you right now, like, I think this is going to be done. I think this is going to be done by the weekend. I think this will be done by Sunday. What I think is going to happen is Kellen Moore is going to come in tomorrow. Kellen Moore is going to get out, and they're going to start negotiating. And I think they're already laying the groundwork with McDaniel. It'll be hammered out by the time Kellen Moore. They'll start really hammering out by the time Kellen Moore is gone and out of the building. And then, bam, I think Mike McDaniel, I assume by Sunday, Monday at the latest, Mike McDaniel will be the new head coach. Appreciate you, King Z305. Like I told you guys, I was told yesterday that this will be done and wrapped up by the end of the weekend. I also assumed Kellen Moore was interviewing today too, and Kellen Moore interviewing tomorrow could push it back to Monday, but I do think it'll be done by Monday at the latest. So, let's go. Let's go, baby. I'm going to tell you right now, this is huge for where we're at. And this tells you that it's being relayed, privately. Shanahan knows. Watch. Anthony Lynn is about, because guys, Anthony Lynn is literally about to be named the offensive coordinator and run game coordinator when Mike McDaniel leaves. They know internally he's gone. McDaniel told them, if I get offered this, I'm going. And Mike McDaniel probably got told, we're going to make you the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Greer's been chasing Mike McDaniel since last year. It was Greer who put in the interview request. This is where the Flores Greer thing happened too, right? Greer wanted McDaniel brought on as one of the options. Flores wanted to bring up his own guys that he already had in-house. That's why you saw when Flores was willing to concede to the Giants in offensive coaching decisions, why people were saying, oh, it's a change of pace. That's one of the reasons why people are talking about it, is because Greer wanted. Now, even though Shanahan blocked it, Greer was trying to get the OC in place. Now, Shanahan is the one who blocked McDaniel because he was going to offer him the offensive coordinator title anyways. So technically it's a lateral movement. Right? So, absolutely beautiful thing. And, I hear he doesn't call plays. He's the leader of men. He should be an OC for the Dolphins. First of all, guess what? Can't be an OC for the Dolphins. You can't have a lateral movement like that. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we that casual that we don't understand how those movements work? People saying he doesn't call plays, okay, but he does call action. He does have input on play calling. Even Marcel Louis-Jacques from ESPN confirmed that today. He does the game plan installs. He chooses the plays for each game. He consults on plays during the game with Shanahan, and between drives, he selects plays for the next drive. And then the Philbin and the Gase comparisons that people make. You know how lazy that is? Like I said, Philbin, Gase, and even Flores were not as revered league-wide as a genius and a football savant the way Mike McDaniel is. And guess what? Mike McDaniel's only 38, so it's even safer to say at his age and this stage in his livelihood, none of those guys were revered as a genius the way this guy is. Joey, will Ross ruin McDaniel? That's a good question, my friend. Will this franchise ruin Mike McDaniel? But hey, like McDonald's with McDaniel, I'm loving it because this guy can actually turn things around. If there's one guy on the market who can turn things around, I think it's this guy. I think, like I've said from day one, I had Dable as like a 6th option because I think he's going to flame out. Now, he ended up bringing Mike Kafka over with him from Kansas City, which is a huge hire. You know what I mean? And Patrick Graham's in place and they have a decent defense. So the staff's a bit better, but, it's not Wink Martindale. And, I like Kafka as much as Dorsey, so I won't knock that. So, but I just have a feeling like Dable is going to flame out if his OCs don't carry him. Mike McDaniel, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. So, I think this is awesome, man. And on top of that, you guys remember, I believe GT Bobby Thompson, I believe he does the Bucks, if I remember correctly, but he was the guy who was spot on through the whole Dable thing. And he said, I'm told Mike McDaniel's interview today with the Dolphins went very well, and clearly it did. If Mike McDaniel is, his replacement is waiting in the wings. Joey, will I be shocked if McDaniel wants a new QB? I would be shocked if he gets it in year 1. I think they want a year of Tua. Right or wrong, I think that's what's going to happen. All right, now, continuing on, let's talk about him. Peter Schrager had a great tweet regarding Mike McDaniel today, and this is what Peter Schrager came out here and he said, and we got a couple things I want to go over in regard of it, but he said, a note on Mike McDaniel. For those wondering about he and Tua, every place he's been in, and it's not at all solely because of him, the QB has had the best year of his career. Jake Plummer, Matt Schaub, Brian Hoyer, Robert Griffin, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Jimmy G. I mean, pretty solid list, no? And for those of you who have truly researched Mike McDaniel, you've seen the work he's done with the QB collective. So don't think just because he's a wide receiver coach, he isn't having input with the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks throw to the wide receivers. So Mike McDaniel, and if this guy goes out and he brings a Pep Hamilton as his offensive coordinator, let's really go. Let's really go. I will say this. I do expect changes on the offensive line because I do expect us to shift to a zone blocking scheme. So I do expect changes. You know, I think Austin Jackson could survive because of his athleticism. He just needs a ton of work. I think Dieter and Hunt will survive. Now, Jesse Davis is gone. I do think Dieter makes more sense at guard. Saul McKinley, he kind of doesn't match what we want to do. You know, like I said, you know, everyone knows I want Ryan Jensen or Tyler Linderbaum. They could all be at play if we're going wide receiver. Treylon Burks, and Treylon Burks makes a ton of sense in this offense. You know what I mean? And then, you know, running back, prime position for a running back. So Mike McDaniel, baby, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And in case you guys were just wondering on an overall update, we're going to get back to McDaniel right after this. This was Ian Rapoport's update on the coaching search today that was seen on NFL Network. And here you guys go. Just so you guys can...
Well, that's it. It's picking up steam after a little bit of a hiatus. Some Dolphins officials were down in Mobile hanging out with the college prospects and others. So now it gets back on track. Mike McDaniel, the 49ers offensive coordinator, he is going to interview. That is going to be today for the Miami Dolphins. It's his second interview, one of the finalists. Clearly and obviously a lot to like there. He's quirky personality, but brilliant football mind and really some of the brains behind a lot of what Kyle Shanahan has done offensively in San Francisco. And then Kellen Moore, the Cowboys offensive coordinator, obviously led the NFL's best offense this year. He is interviewing tomorrow for the Dolphins. And, you know, it's interesting with Kellen Moore. I think some of the questions I come across are, you know, how can he lead a room? Well, he actually does it. He's the offensive coordinator. He leads a room of, 35 people. Would it be different if there was, say, 70 in the room? I guess it would be more people. But he is a really commanding personality. But that is at least the question people ask about. Well, that's it. It's picking.
So there you go. So Kellen Moore will interview tomorrow. And the point he makes about him leading a room, you can make the same for Mike McDaniel. He was the offensive coordinator this year. You know, you're still leading a room, right? Clearly you're leading a room. And Mike McDaniel led that offense, you know, to the NFC Championship. McDaniels may end up Cowboys OC if we hire more. I don't think he'd leave, but I'm telling you right now, he's leaving. He's leaving. All right, getting back into McDaniel. Let's get into an interesting little article, guys. This is what Matt Breida, I know you all remember him, and former receiver Andre Hawkins had to say about Mike McDaniel. You guys need to read this. This is some awesome stuff. So, former Dolphins running back Matt Breida is a pending free agent, and he'd love to return to South Florida, especially if it's to play for Mike McDaniel. It was awesome to play for him, Breida said of his 2017-2019 when McDaniel was run game coordinator in San Francisco. Breida began his career with the 49ers as an undrafted free agent. He was on the phone with me the entire draft, Breida recalled. They wanted me on the team. He wanted me on the team. He's a player's coach. Guys relate to him. McDaniel was scheduled for a second interview with the Dolphins on Friday. Now offensive coordinator for the 49ers, McDaniel and Kellen Moore of the Cowboys are known finalists. It's quite possible the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins will be revealed this weekend. Breida noted McDaniel's intelligence. He understands formations and motions, Breida said. We had a lot of formations, but ran the same runs out of them. He just looks at things differently. Breida said McDaniel and 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan are in lockstep. They are aligned, Breida said. They think alike. He's one of the best I've ever been around. It was not lost on Breida how creative and flexible the 49ers offense appeared in a playoff run to the NFC Championship game. It's not always so complicated, Breida said. It's the players and how they use them. Look at Deebo Samuel. He had been there for 2 years, but they found a way to get him involved in the run game. It's how you use your players. They know the player's strengths. Get them in space, go with power, being able to motion or move guys around. How many times you see an offensive tackle like Trent Williams go in motion? How many times? That caused a lot of problems for defense. Every coach has their own way to motivate, but Breida says McDaniel uses mutual respect to foster accountability. He is able to connect and talk with guys, Breida said. He's not yelling in your face. He talks to you like a grown man or your son. He's got a lot of guys out there who want to do well and do well for him. If the Dolphins hire McDaniel, it would be because they perceive him as an up-and-coming, young offensive mind. They would be hoping he could make Miami's offense more dynamic, exciting, and productive. But they would be also looking to change the tone in the building. Under Brian Flores, there was an extremely serious and sometimes abrasive Patriots way type of approach. McDaniel seems like a guy who likes to have some fun. He can be very funny, Breida said. You may not always get his sense of humor, but a lot of hidden jokes. Good guy, good coach. A former NFL wide receiver who was coached by McDaniel in Cleveland in 2014 expressed his admiration for McDaniel on Friday. He's truly a football savant, said Andrew Hawkins. And I know there are a lot of brilliant minds in football. His approach is very, very unique, and it's why he's able to exploit the norms. A lot of players swear by him. He has a very unique ability of identifying talent and also knowing exactly how to get the most out of a certain skill set. Players swear by him because players have had career years with him. Hawkins explained that he's been around too many coaches who are using the same coaching points and talking points used since the 60s. He says McDaniel is very detailed and precise, but also unique in how he processes ideas and teaches them. When I got with Mike, his whole philosophy turned everything I thought I knew upside down, Hawkins said. How you get off the line of scrimmage, and here are the options. Here are the two techniques every DB uses, and if you do this, he takes all of the thinking out of it. How you approach catching the football, how to approach running after the catch. I was very, very skeptical, but we did it his way, and it worked. The way he broke down and explained strategies, it felt very Mr. Miyagi-like. You're doing this and that and this and that, and then one day it all ties together. Let's go. Mike Miyagi McDaniel, baby. Hawkins believes McDaniel will be a successful head coach. If you're honest with the players, that's all they want. To be honest and put you in a position to be better. He put those guys in a position to be their best. He'll get everyone pushing in one direction. Make the game easier for you. That's what guys gravitate to. Kyle Shanahan, that's his philosophy too. I'm excited about Mike. When it comes to football minds, he may be the best of the bunch. Holy. Mike Miyagi McDaniel. Let's go, baby. Woo. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Wow. I am. Yeah. I'm loving it. Let's go, man. Let's go. All right. Now, this is a article that was on CBS, and it says Mike McDaniel is a football assassin disguised as a hipster. It says, I don't know Mike McDaniel, but I love Mike McDaniel. While everyone has been fawning over Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, wondering when he'll return to head coaching, the hipster McDaniel has been chilling on the West Coast, leading the 49ers offense and creating one of the most unique brands of offensive football left in the playoffs. It puts a spotlight on a man almost nobody knew about aside from 49ers fans, and he is an utter delight. Mike McDaniel isn't used to being the focus of media attention, and he greeted it this past weekend with joy and self-deprecation. The reason I love McDaniel is because he's just so damn normal. The NFL is full of these figures who believe they have to be imposing to get their point across. Dudes who have watched way too many George S. Patton speeches and think they need to emulate actual generals, not football coaches. McDaniel is here being awkward, goofy, and weird and funny, and it all works. He's absolutely uncompromising in his approach to being himself, and it's so damn much fun. It should say it's so much damn fun, but okay. McDaniel took over as an offensive coordinator this season after spending 3 years as the 49ers run game coordinator. Despite having an incomplete roster with, let's face it, a lot of holes on offense, McDaniel has created one of the scariest big play offenses left in the playoffs by making Deebo Samuel a focal point. Samuel, who had 2 decent but unremarkable seasons prior to 2021, exploded with McDaniel at the helm. The offensive coordinator saw his skills and decided to move him away from being simply a wide receiver, reimagining him as an all-purpose weapon teams are struggling to cover. While much of the national focus was on Jimmy G this season, Samuel finished with over 1,400 receiving yards and 365 rushing yards, including 8 rushing touchdowns. Without a doubt, he was one of the best offensive players in the NFL this season, and a lot of that is owing to the faith McDaniel has placed in him. McDaniel's path to the point of being considered a potential head coach has been one of the most remarkable steady rises in recent memory. McDaniel didn't come from a playing background or even a coaching one, nor did he benefit from nepotism. Hell, he has a degree in history from Yale, not exactly the kind of football resume you'd expect. Starting as an intern with the Denver Broncos in 2005, McDaniel slowly rose his way through the NFL ranks. He was an offensive assistant with the Texans in Washington before becoming Washington's wide receiver coach in 2013. He then took the same job with the Browns before leaving to become an offensive assistant with the Falcons, then finally landed with the 49ers. The common thread through all this is Kyle Shanahan. Everywhere he went, McDaniel would follow. The 49ers coach clearly noticed something in McDaniel, and the two shared the same perspective on football. Traveling from team to team, McDaniel kept getting better until now. In 1 year, he took a team languishing in offensive mediocrity and brought them into the top 10 in the NFL in yards, while also lifting them from being the 21st scoring offense in 2020 to 13th in 2021, all with largely the same roster. It's unclear whether he'll be hired as a head coaching capacity this year or whether he might need to wait a little longer, but it's coming. Mike McDaniel has quickly shown he's one of the brightest young minds in the NFL and carries himself completely different to anyone else. He is the face of modern football, like it or not, and the results are speaking for themselves. The 49ers are playing inspiring football. Everyone is buying in, and a playoff shocker isn't outside the realm of possibility. Get ready, NFL fans, because Mike McDaniel will take over a team soon. The question is, are we ready for him? So a little bit more background on Mike McDaniel for you guys. I'm telling you, man, I'm hyped. This is I like this. I like this potential hire, man. And it ain't because I've been on it since the rip. I truly think this guy is perfect for our team. I really do. And the way he's going to use Waddle, Lynn Bowden, the way he's going to use some of these guys, and then, whoever we get in free agency and potentially the draft, he's looking at this team saying there's stuff I can do here. There's a lot of stuff I can do here. And for all of you people that want Tua to survive in Miami, this is the guy you want. Because we want to get out of that RPO and go to that pro style. And his hybrid West Coast offense is perfect for Tua's skill set. And, it's going to be a little complex, but if Tua can't pick it up, we're going to find out how hard he studies and how good at retention he is. But what I will tell you guys this is the big difference between McDaniel and a lot of the people we've at least had on the offensive side of the ball. McDaniel is a better teacher. I think Flores was a good teacher, but on the defensive side of the ball, right? I don't think we had great teachers on the offensive side of the ball since Tua's been here. And I think what you got to look at a guy with McDaniel is he's going to look for guys who share the same philosophy and who still have to do the same things that he does in terms of teaching. So, that's the thing about, look at LaFleur, McVay, both LaFleur's, McVay, that's the one thing that comes from the Shanahan tree and why they've been so successful. It's not only no ego, it's they're all good teachers. Rhino, John Embry is actually one of the names. If people are talking about like staff names you should be thinking about right now, you know, Zach Yenser, John Embry, Keith Carter, Chris Morgan, Wes Welker, Rick Dennison are some of the names you should be thinking of right now. So those are the names you should be thinking about because he's like, you know, and Pep Hamilton could be in play. A guy like Pep Hamilton could be in play. And then on the defensive side, I think we're either going to keep if this guy can go get Wink Martindale or Vic Fangio, all the power to him. But I think they're probably going to try and keep majority of our staff in place. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it works. You know what I mean? I really do. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. I do think the answers are like literally around, right around the corner, man. I know someone in the people are asking in the comments right about Mike Munchak. I'm fine with that. If he wants to go bring Mike Munchak as our offensive line coach, let's go. I'm down. I hope McDaniel drops a bomb on everyone and he's like, yeah, I'm bringing like Pep and Wes Welker, and he brings these boys and he brings like Pep Hamilton's, he brings Pep Hamilton, Wes Welker, and a couple of those guys. And then he turns around and he's like, yo, here's Wink Martindale or Vic Fangio. Drop it. Let's go, man. Yeah, John Embry is a name to watch. Definitely a name to watch. All right, now the real question is, guys, is DVP currently on the trade block? Now, I know we heard rumblings around the trade deadline, but Walter Football had a report out, and I'm surprised no one has covered it. I've actually been sitting on this for 2 days. I just haven't been able to get around to it. Walter Football, they actually, on the first day of them out there at the Senior Bowl, right? Because it was February 1st. Charlie Campbell said, with all general managers, coaches, and scouts in attendance for the Senior Bowl, there's a lot of chatter going around. Day 2. And here are some of the highlights from around the league on day 2 of the Senior Bowl. Many times in the NFL, players who were shopped or available at the deadline remain on the market and end up moving on to a new team in the offseason. WalterFootball.com reached out to some sources to see which players were shopped at the deadline but were not moved. NFL sources said one of the more high-profile players who was shopped to teams but not traded was Miami Dolphins wide receiver DeVante Parker. Parker has 2 years left on his contract, and not being in the last year of his deal helps make him more appealing to other teams. He missed 7 games in 2021 from a hamstring injury. However, and over his 7 seasons, he's only played in every game once. His contract won't preclude a trade, but Miami has a ton of cap space at $70 million, so the organization does not need to trim Parker for cash considerations. With Jalen Waddle as a long-term number 1 receiver, the Dolphins were considering moving on from Parker because he was a pick of a prior regime. While Parker was not traded last season, he could be available again this spring. Now, this is all going to be relative to what McDaniel wants to do, or Kellen Moore when he walks in there. But, it does seem right now that DeVante Parker is being shopped around and feelers are being put out. And I'm sure he is a player that they have talked about with potential candidates, and maybe the potential candidates don't view him as a real option right now. Maybe they do want to move on from him, do potential candidates. So interesting to send something to pay attention to. And I need this signing to happen so I can start moving on my big boards and free agency here. Like, Jesus Christ. Let's go. Because no one does draft like Reason, and I need to get rolling here, man. I am ready to go. Okay, and then an interesting article from Barry Jackson, and it says Miami Dolphins face decisions on Williams and Needham and personnel notes. And what it says is, so this was from yesterday, And I was going to try and get to it last night when we had Lorraine and Tunde up, but I wasn't able to get to it in time. And basically a 6-pack of Dolphin notes on Thursday as the team moves ahead with interviews for head coaching finalists Mike McDaniel, Kellen Moore, and owner Stephen Ross deals with the fallout of Brian Flores' allegations. Among the mysteries of the Dolphins season, why did Preston Williams' playing time and production plunge even when DeVante Parker missed time with a hamstring injury? The only conclusion to be drawn is that the Dolphins believed receiver Matt Collins, who brings more special teams value, gave them the better chance to win. Hollins caught 4 touchdowns on 14 catches and played 340 offensive snaps. Williams caught no touchdowns on 6 receptions and played only 175 offensive snaps before sustaining a season-ending foot injury in Week 9 against Arizona in 2020. Williams, despite some drops, had the look of a long-term rotation piece, producing 50 catches, 716 yards, and 9 touchdowns in 16 games and 14 starts. That was essentially one full season of work over 2 seasons that were both short-circuited at the midway point by a knee injury in 2019 and a foot injury in 2020. But his role diminished dramatically in 2021, and he closed with just 6 catches for 71 yards. He missed time in training camp and preseason with an injury, played 8 regular season games, started 3, was a healthy scratch for 6 games, dressed but didn't play in another, and missed a game because of COVID-19. Now he's hoping to salvage his Dolphins career as he enters free agency. I had my ups and downs, he said, of his 3rd NFL season. I want to put in the work and get back to where I used to be. Having injuries isn't what I expected. The season was filled with frustrations, not only on the reduced role, but needing to spend 45 minutes or so waiting in his car for COVID tests 5 days a week, an NFL requirement for unvaccinated players. He caught the virus for the first time in December and experienced more symptoms than several vaccinated teammates who tested positive. I had a fever, body aches, chills, bad for 2 or 3 days, he said. He said he never regretted not getting vaccinated, asserting that he didn't have the time once the season started. As an undrafted free agent with an expiring 3-year contract, Williams made $850,000 in 2021. Because he's a restricted free agent, the Dolphins could place a $2.43 million right of first refusal tender on him or cut him loose. It's more likely they won't tender him and allow him to become an unrestricted free agent, which wouldn't rule out a return. Not playing much this year left him hungry to regain a prominent role. I want to be out there real bad, he said. Let's start over and get back out there, getting reps at the same time as everybody else, being there for camp and not missing camp. My confidence never leaves. I still believe I'm that guy, just waiting for my opportunity again. Cornerback Nick Needham is by far the most important of the Dolphins' small group of restricted free agents, which also includes Williams, Patrick Laird, and Sam McGuavin. The Dolphins could place a 2nd-round tender on Needham, which would assure him $3.98 million if signed a 1-year deal per OverTheCap.com's projections. The Dolphins have the option of placing a 1st-round tender, $5.56 million, a 2nd-round tender, or the aforementioned $2.43 million right of first refusal tender. There's no question Needham will be tendered. The only question is the dollar amount. Tending a player gives the team the right to match any outside offers. Needham finished with an 81.4 passer rating in his coverage area, excellent from a defensive standpoint, and no touchdowns allowed per Football Focus. And I don't think Needham's allowed a touchdown for like 30 games, if I remember correctly. Charlie Campbell of Walter Camp Football reported this week from the Senior Bowl in Mobile that the Dolphins have shopped DeVante Parker. If that's the case, that would be news to Parker. General Manager Chris Greer always has been a big supporter of Parker, who was limited to 11 games this past season because of hamstring issues. He caught 40 passes for 515 yards and 2 touchdowns 2 years after catching a career-high 72 passes for 1,202 yards and 9 touchdowns. Parker's under contract at a reasonable $5.6 million cap. That's why I think he might stay around if McDaniel walks in. But none of that money is guaranteed. His cap hit drops from $8.7 million to $5.4 million if he's cut or traded before June 1st, which is hardly worth the savings. His dead money cap hit drops from $2.7 million if he's cut after June 1st. As expected, Andrew Van Ginkel's playing time increased following the February release of Van Noy. Van Ginkel's snap counts on defense rose from 480 in 2020 to 801 in 2021. He went from 46% all the way up to 71%, which we all knew would happen. He was 5th in the NFL among edge players with 16 quarterback hits, but only had 4 sacks, down from 5.5 in 2020. Being there half a second earlier would change the game, he said. Well, look at Jalen Phillips. If he was there a half second early, he would have 15, 16 sacks this year. Van Ginkel forced 1 fumble in 2021 after forcing 3 in 2020, so he's looking for more flash plays. He said his goal is being quicker with my trigger. The Dolphins see potential with undrafted rookie Robert Jones, who played 10 snaps as a 6th lineman against the Jets on December 19th, then missed a game with COVID-19, then started at right tackle in the finale against New England. It was very frustrating, he said, of being sidelined with COVID. I hated it, but it's just the world we're in right now. Jones said he has taken center snaps on his own away from practice so that he's able to play any of the 5 offensive line positions. He closed the season having played 79 snaps, including 62 in the finale. The Dolphins know Jones can play guard and wanted to get a look at him at tackle in the finale, replacing Jesse Davis. Pro Football Focus said Jones allowed a sack and 2 pressures in that game against New England. I learned a lot, he said. I can feel I can play anything. Here's a story from Mike Gesicki, which offered insight into how veterans handle young players and what rookie tight end Hunter Long has done in practice. In the preseason game this year against Cincinnati, I remember Hunter ran our flag and Reed Sinnett threw it up, and it was a difficult catch over the shoulder. To me, those are the hardest catches, over the shoulder. He didn't come down with it. He came to the sideline. For like a split second, he looked like it was over. I was sitting there, and I didn't say a word. I went up to him and ignored the fact that it happened. I kept talking to him because I've been in that scenario before. Finally, I just said to him, like, yo, I know what you're thinking. It's preseason 3. You're good. You are good. You are going to learn from this experience, and then you're going to make plays on Sundays. I think that was the one instance that stuck out to me. Now Hunter has done great things in practice. He's got in, made the most of his opportunities in games. I'm excited for his future in Miami. That's just one small occurrence that kind of stuck out with me in terms of being a veteran and being through an experience like that. So, there you go. According to DeVante Parker, he has no idea that he's on the trade block. So shout out to Irving for the 99-cent donation and the super sticker. Guys, we have already, we got well over 600 of you guys watching right now. So go ahead, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Appreciate each and every one of you spending some of your Friday night with me. We are about to hit that 1 hour mark. I'm actually probably going to get out of here because I think I'm going to be back this weekend because I believe Mike McDaniel is going to be named the head coach this weekend. So, I think I'm going to be back. So, until then, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to be back this weekend. And until then, hey, you know what I mean? Guys, I truly believe there's 668 of you in the room right now, man. I appreciate all of you for hanging out. I'm going to get out of here. I truly believe I'm going to be back in a couple days. So, in at least 48 hours. So I'm going to be opening up that show. You can bet your bottom dollar when we make any higher. Ramon says, thank you for all you do, Reason. Appreciate you, man. Guys, smash that like button. All right. If some of y'all want to come backstage and chop it up, I'll drop a link for you. But I'm going to get out of here. And good things are on the way. Finally, some good news, people. Finally, some good news. It's coming down the pipeline. I'm telling you. Jonathan says Kellen Moore, baby. I don't think so. But guys, I'm going to need you to smash that like button. And I'm going to need y'all to subscribe. We had over 800 new subs in the month of January. So let's get up there. Let's get the subs up there. Let's get to 7K. And I'm telling you, man, let's get to 10K before the new season starts. We're going to get there. And we got some big things and some big new things that are going to be coming over the next couple months to Finside the NFL. Shout out to Lewis M for the donation. He says, best Fins content on YouTube. Appreciate it. We about to take it to another level, bro. You don't even know what we got in store for y'all, man. It's coming. March, April, before the draft hits, Y'all gonna see it. We stepping it up. We taking it to another level on Finside the NFL because that's all we do, man. We set trends. We don't follow them over here, baby. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me. I will see all of y'all. I guarantee you I'll see you this weekend. Maybe Monday the latest, but I got a feeling I'll be seeing y'all this weekend. Until then, everyone, fins up all day, every day, and I will see all y'all very soon. Hint, hint, wink, wink.